Hello, everybody. My name is Sil the DM, and we're back for, as I mentioned in the previous video that just went up, an extremely short recap. Unfortunately, due to overtime, I ended up missing a week of uploads and just sort of falling behind and getting a little clustered. Unfortunately, I have pretty bad ADHD, and when something interrupts my daily routine and like the things I do on very certain days, I could easily fall 2, 3, 4 weeks behind in anything. It could be brushing my teeth, having a shower, doing a video upload. If my regimen gets interrupted, it gets interrupted very hard, and that's not a good excuse at all. I'm an adult. I should be able to handle myself, but unfortunately, it happens. I do want to bring up first and foremost that this weekend marks the 1 year anniversary of my Patreon. And I want to be just quickly thank everyone who's been my patron this long time. And if you would like to consider it, the link will be in the description. And for just $1 a month, it gives you access to all the homebrew, maps, art, original fiction I put out. In fact, this weekend, my Patreons are going to be getting an early access to the full PDF of a fun little book I've been writing called Interspecies Freedoms, which is a book for creating rules for sexual acts in Dungeons and Dragons, which will be quite funny. They are getting a preview copy because I'm still getting more work done, including like a custom character sheet add-on for it. But if you would consider checking that out, it would be greatly appreciated. Let's dive right into the city campaign uh, episode titled Earthquakes in the Snow. To quickly catch you up, they continued heading north, the group, approaching the endless ice fields at the northern top of the world, when an earthquake happens. Ha ha ha, the foreshadowing. I bet you didn't expect this so quickly. There was an earthquake as they were traveling north. And one of the horses, Coops, got real spooked and ran off. Um, and that happened and sucked, but unfortunately, earthquake gonna earthquake. Once everyone had managed to recover from it and keep on pushing, they made it further north and eventually noticed uh, or discovered the corpse of said horse. It looked like something had attacked it and consumed most of it, and what was left was like charred and frozen. And Throya used this as a fine example to enlighten everyone of the Remoraz threat, and how that there are these titanic centipede like fire ice monsters around, and that we're probably lucky that it hit the horse and not the party. It was at this point that they summoned the tower and went inside, electing to pull the horse in with them, eating up a lot of the space of the tower and not really improving the comfort. And they quickly went over their plans for the assault on the ice field. Um, Thrago went over how and pulled out some notes and papers and basically said that as far as his clan knew, before he left and stole all this documentation, there were two entrances to Stilfjord, the bastion of Clan Veshni. The gate, which is a massive ice door in the center of the glacier, and an area called the Eye, which is an opening on the top of the glacier that opens down to a lush evergreen forest where the giants keep a tribe, a village of Yetis to serve as their fodder troops and stealth agents. The party discussed a little bit about what they were going to do, and the main consensus was if they have this dragon, hopefully they have some other entrance that the dragon is using, and we can find that uh, to try and get our way inside. After this little bit of strategizing, which did eat up a lot of roleplay time, Threga asked Levy if they could speak in private and went to the room upstairs. In there, Threga asked Levy if she could send a message for him and pulled out a worn photo or sort of painting a picture of him, his half-elf wife, and their son, Brugga. Brigga, sorry. And he asked her if she could send a message to Brigga. Now, Levi and the rest of the party has been informed by Zahn that in the giant attack on the city, Thrugga's wife and child ended up getting killed. So Levi was having a bit of a hard time with this, and so was Thrugga. And he asked her to just send a message to let him know that his father loved him and was sorry that he wasn't able to help. And Levi sent the message. And then someone answered. An unnerving figure with a cool voice that sort of radiated this sort of cynicism. And it told Levi to just lie and tell Thrugga what he wants to hear. But it really unnerved Levi for someone to have talked back, especially not the person she targeted with the spell. And then she went outside and talked with Zahn a little bit about this, and the two of them sort of panicked about it for a while, and then came back. During the night, Levi was having a hard time sleeping, as was Siren. So Levi ended up spending a bit of time praying to Glimmerwing, the fairy dragon who serves as her deity. Glimmerwing being in setting sort of like the progenitor of fairy dragons. An exceptionally powerful fairy dragon, rivaling an Arc-Fae. And she felt a bit better, pulled some pranks, drew some dicks on some stuff just to feel better and relax. And the next day they took off, heading into the forest, as they had breached right near the base of the ice shelf, which actually is a deep evergreen forest full of old ancient stone ruins of maybe early attempts to settle this area. As the ice shelf actually blocks a large chunk of the earth beneath it from the wind and the snow. As the wind comes down from the north, it sort of goes over this area, allowing it to have a lot less snow, a lot more vegetation, and just be a little bit warmer than the area around it. So they decided to sneak into the trees and move along, deciding to keep the tower up to keep the horse safe inside. And it was at this point that they made their way over to the ice wall and found the gate, these massive, giant-sized footsteps sort of built into the ice so that the giants could climb it like a ladder. And just as they were considering how to move forward and properly investigate, a giant jumped down from above, and Siren and Thrugga recognized it as Jarl Malakovich of Clan Vexni. So the Jarl of this place, the one who had attacked the city of Stockturn on the back of the dragon, and the one who had killed Thrugga's wife and child in that attack. So Thrugga was having a very hard time keeping himself calm and not going into berserk full-blooded orc rage. And it was the first time they really saw him as like an orc. Like, he's a big, burly kind of guy, but like this was on the brink of going like full berserk. But he managed to control himself. After a brief wait, 3 other giants arrived. One with a dragon skull hat or helmet and large wolf furs. Another, a female giantess with all sorts of insects and birds fluttering around her body, and the heads of male frost giants hanging from a belt. And the third, a extremely obese, heavy-set frost giant with a massive 2-handed greatsword that looked like it might even be too large for him, who Siren and Thrugga recognized as being the 3 other Jarls of the 4 frost giant clans that make up this section of the ice shelf. Now, none of them could hear what the giants were talking about because Levi had the Ring of Silence on. But the giants seemed to converse for a little while, and At this point, everyone noticed that the Jarl of Veshny, Marlokovich, wasn't armed. He didn't have a visible weapon at all. And the others all seemed half furious, half concerned by this. Eventually, Marlokovich jumped his way back up to the top and made a gesture inviting the other three to follow. The large, rotund one they saw become engulfed in like a frog spirit and jump straight up the 250 feet to grab the ledge of the gate. The one with the dragon skull on his head unfurled a huge pair of dragon wings and flew his way up. And the giantess, this bizarre shaman witch woman, dissolved into a flurry of insects and birds and bats and fluttered up in a swarm. Um, and that was where we ended the session, because at this point Siren didn't show up this session, and Levy had to leave about an hour and 10 minutes before the end of the session. So we ended a little bit early this day because we didn't want to push on without people. So yeah, that's it. I would like to thank everyone for coming by. The next recap will probably be a little longer or about the same length. I'm not sure. But I want to thank everyone for coming by. If you have questions, comments, please leave them in the down below. Thank you, and have a great day.